最初の頃はね、この人の奥さん韓国人でね、アメリカ生まれの韓国人で、その背景で儒学を勉強したんで、韓国の話を最初してるんですね。これちょっと、画面が小さいな。どうしてでしょうね。あれおかしいな。これが正しい。OK?
Thanks everybody for coming tonight, especially in the bad weather. It means I guess I have to be extra interesting. Confucius. To learn the genius of Confucius, you should all have been at my wedding. I'm sorry you all weren't invited. You know how
彼奥さん、韓国人。
it is. You have to have all your mom's friends. You've got second cousins.
結婚式のね、彼の
You
結婚
see
式。
every 7 years, you know. But anyway. The wedding was mostly a standard Judeo-Christian affair.
ユダヤ・キリスト教。標準的ユダヤ・キリスト教のね。
The white dress, the drinking of the glass. But my wife is also Korean American, and she wanted to include a traditional ceremony.
彼女はだから、この人はユダヤ人ね。ユダヤ人の衣装と同時に、インクルードトラディショナルセレモニーね。
Called a pebek.
ペックって俺わかんないけど、要するに島ちょごりを着てやる。
For the ceremony, she would change into a Korean gown called a hanbok.
ハンボックっていうのを知らないけど。
And then we'd bow before her parents, who would in return offer their blessing.
要するに、三期休校等みたいなことをね、地面に頭つけてやるね。
And toss walnuts and dates into her skirt.
調べて、多分わかんなかったんだね。意味がわかんないんだ。デートじゃないんだよ。なんか、彼のスカートの中に何かを入れるんだよね。
そうですね。トス、オーナツ。
デート、何か入れるんだよね、きっと。
Skirt. As an encouragement of
エンカレジメント、ファーティリティ。だから、ファーティリティってのは、子供を産むでしょ、ようなことができるように彼のスカートの中に、デイツ。なんか、願い事をするんでしょうね。
Bowing is a regular feature of life in East Asia. People bow not just to parents, to elders of all types.
これさっき言ったやつね。
Anyone in a position of authority. A friend who lived in Tokyo for many years says that you know you've been in Japan too long when you start bowing to people while talking to them on the phone.
うん。ね。
I, however, am not comfortable with bowing.
うん。
Jews like me are taught
彼、ジューズね。
to have too much respect for themselves to bow down before anybody. We all listen every year to the Book of Esther, read out each Purim holiday, which tells of how
これね、ポーラムホリデーって調べたかな調べてないかもしれない。なんか、ジューリッシュのさ、祭日かなんか。わかんない。
one stubborn Jewish guy refused to bow down before a state official and nearly got the entire Jewish community of Persia wiped out. Even God, in modern practice, most often merits a mere bending of the knee and lowering of the head as a sign of reverence for the Almighty.
あとさ、リベランス、経緯ね。これ調べて。リベランス。 レバレッジ、経緯。
But the vow I was going to have to do in front of my future in-laws was a true, full-on, forehead to the
フロンって徹底したね。
floorboards kowtow.
カウテウってこれ、コウトウ。
My wife is taking the ceremony very seriously. She is far from the traditional Korean girl. She was raised in the Midwest and is as American as any other kid born in Indiana.
うん。彼女、韓国人だけどアメリカ生まれ。
But when it comes to her parents, a different person emerges.
うん。
In traditional Korean culture, honoring your parents is the most important.
オーナーって日本人あんまりうまく使えないけど、I honor you って言って、私はあなたを尊敬する。光栄に思う。
Virtues. People were judged based on how respectful they were to their parents. This tradition is pure, unadulterated.
Pure, unadulterated. 純粋な。Pure と unadulterated。同じ意味。
Confucius. To Confucius, filial piety
親孝行。
was critical to strong, stable families and therefore a strong, stable society. Everybody from the emperor down to the lowliest farmer was
これがだからいわゆる三角形でね、批判されるんですよね。親とかさ、それから長老とか、君主とか、ね。
supposed to honor and obey their parents
honor parent, obey parent
for their entire lives and
for the entire life. これ僕は奥さん韓国人だけど、これすごいよね。だから今のムンジャインなんかいろいろ批判されてるでしょ。でもあの国いろいろ批判してもね、あの国はね、上下関係とか階層がさ、ものすごいしっかりしてんだよね。だから、信頼とかさ、信用するとかっていうのは、中国もそうだけど、日本ははるかにこう絆が強い。日本人はすごく脆いんですよね。そういう意味では彼らの方が結束力があって、自信があるんだよね。国の中で。それは自学が強い。影響力。
それでレジリアンスがあるっていうこともある意味で。何かあっても元に戻る。
そうだね。レジリアンスですね。そういう意味では、非常にこう、自学はね、いいところを残してるんですよね。日本はそれは全く今もうなくなっちゃってて、それはだから、彼らが変なことをやるんだけど、日本がそれに対してさ、強い意志を持って対抗できないっていうのは、そこにさ、なんと上下階層とか、日本は確かにその三角形の制度ってあるけど、韓国みたいに強くないんだよね。だから、なんていうかな、ディサイシブとかさ、もう直裁的にとかさ、すぐ要するに韓国に断行するとか、できないんだよね。レジリエンスって逆に言えば優柔不断なんだよ、日本は。だこれは背景がこうなるような気がするんだよね。
even beyond. Confucius believed a truly filial son
truly filial. 本当親孝行の息子ね。
would not deviate from his father's
デビエイトは離れる。
ways 3 years after
3 years after his death.
he died.
だから、要するに変えないっていうね。
My wife has absorbed
もう11時半。それアメリカも、もうちょっとやってアメリカも。せっかく来たから。
these
久しぶりだね。ちょっとだけで今、上のいいとこでやめるか。
Confucian values with her own family, and I knew how important they were to her. Yet, I was so uncomfortable with the Pebek that I decided to take a chance and express my concerns to my wife anyway. I'm sure you all can predict her response, which went something like, "Get over it."
これさ、get it over with おしまいする、けりをつけるしね。
We're bowing to my parents, and that's that.
これ何かって、この人が、ユダヤ人が、彼女の韓国人の親に、頭を、急行、ボートする。
So the morning of the wedding, I grabbed my wife's younger brother, James.
これはね、グラブっていうのはね、あれですよね。グラブ。書いてない。捕まえるですね。書いちゃった。
We found a quiet corner in the hotel where we were staying, and I asked him to give me bowing lessons. You just can't bow any way you want. It has to be a proper stylized bow. Your hands to the forehead.
スタイライズって形式化するとか様式化する。あとね、特定の形にはめる。様式化するですね。
No, I'm not going to bow in front of all of you. I know that's what everybody was waiting for. I'm not, but you lower yourself down to your knees, and put your forehead down to the floor for a few seconds. You sit up, again without touching the floor, and you wait for your future in-laws to give you their blessing. A few hours later, I found myself in front of my in-laws doing exactly that, my forehead pressed to the floor, with my own friends and family watching on. What I learned is that you just can't beat Confucius. Here we find the true genius of Confucius, an idea that he expressed 2,500 years ago in a town you've never heard of before in eastern China, possessed the endurance and power to wield a direct impact on my life today. And not just my life, nearly a quarter of humanity is still highly influenced by Confucius' teachings today. That ranks him with Jesus, Muhammad,
ranks him with 肩を並べて匹敵する。コンフュシャスは
the Buddha,
Jesus, Muhammad,
Aristotle, and Plato as one of the founders of civilization. However, here in the U.S., we know very little about Confucius. Whenever I mentioned I was writing a book on Confucius, inevitably someone brings up Charlie Chan or suggests a book title, something like Confucius Say. But this lack of understanding is actually quite dangerous. China and East Asia are rising on the world stage, and Confucius is rising with them. China today is presenting the U.S. with not just a political and economic challenge, but an ideological challenge. Beijing is presenting to the world a political and economic system that it sees as an alternative to American-style democratic capitalism, a system that its leaders believe is rooted in Chinese history and based on Chinese values. Every society is, at its heart, based on ideas. Ours is rooted in the ideas of the Greek philosophers.
まあ、アメリカのグリークフィロソファーズの考えを
Judeo-Christian texts.
ジュリオ・クリスチャン、ユダヤ・キリスト教。
And, in more modern times, some writers from the Enlightenment. In China,
エンライトメント、啓発ですよね。
much of the rest of East Asia, Society is based to a great degree on Confucian ideas and
中
Confucian
国はコン
texts.
フューシャニズム、儒学ですよね。
It was Confucius who defined how government should relate to their citizens and how husbands should relate to their wives.